Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey,
We see
Carl.
Mickey's back. Good to see everybody. It feels like a long week. It feels like a long time ago since we hung out at Hard Rock, right?
Almost
Right.
longer than the Walt Simonson line.
So, apparently, some people are still standing there waiting for Walt
Yes.
next year.
Oh no.
Well, welcome everybody. So, just some background. It's funny because Jason and I, throughout the con, we just kept talking about, oh, we should stream, and do a recap. And then we kind of like started talking about it, and then one person after another was like, I'll join, I'll join, I'll join. Now we have a full-on party. I feel like it's like the Hard Rock reunion. So, welcome everybody. Why don't we maybe go around and do a quick round of introductions first, and then we'll get right to it because we have about an hour and a half before Cap Live starts, which we all should tune in and support Bill. So I want to
Absolutely.
take this time and just have a quick hangout because, like you guys, probably a ton of folks been asking me how was Baltimore. So I thought this would be probably like the best way to kill multiple birds with one stone for all of us to just come together, share our perspective, share our pickups, and then go from there. So I'll start. I'm Carl Choi with 24/7 Comics, publisher and art collector. And I'll pass it off to Jason, and we could just kind of go around based on the order of our screens.
So Jason Richardson, Southern Comic Geek, YouTuber, among a bunch of other stuff, art collector, weirdo. So,
Hey,
Mr.
I'm
Avery.
Newell. Oh, sorry. Newell Turner, aka Stingray. You'll see why in a little bit. Art collector, very focused, and I don't know, just here to have some fun.
I go
Nice.
next. Hey, this is Rick Verbanis. You may know me from the Captain America Comic Book Fans podcast, but in my spare time, I like to collect Captain America art.
Tom McDonald, aka Tom McDonald from Chicago. I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't stream. I don't have a podcast. I just collect art.
Peter Rowe from formerly Arlington, Virginia, now Richmond. Just an art collector, and I also collect stuff other than war art.
Good to know.
I don't believe it.
Hi, I'm Timothy Guerrero. I'm from El Salvador. I'm a comic book and comic art collector.
Mickey Anamantadu, comic art collector, mostly Legion of Superheroes.
Danny Hager, comic art collector, mainly ROM and Hawkman, although collect all kinds of comic book nerdy stuff.
Tina Hager, also formerly Mrs. Rom 2814. Very, very new to the hobby. Danny and I have been married for a long time, 30 some years. And so I followed comics for a long time and art, but I didn't actually become a collector myself until OAX of this year. Very,
wow.
It's very new.
Wow, so you got worn down after 37 years. It just finally the little drip torture got to you.
It's crazy. I used to have to keep everything confined to my office, my man cave, and now there's original art like hanging in the living room. It's like, no, let's put it upstairs. So yeah, it was eye opening, I guess.
So there is hope. I personally currently still have my confines within my office and my man cave. So that's why things are a little bit tight on the walls here, as you can tell. But I look forward to that. Tina, Danny, I think we have to go on a double date, and maybe you could shed some influence over my wife one day.
Carl, I will tell you, it does happen. So my man cave down here, I ran out of wall space, and one day my wife out of nowhere just said, we have some space up on the walls in the hallway upstairs. We could, yes, we'll do it. I didn't even let her finish the sentence.
And marry that woman.
And the other funny thing too is, I actually took down baby photos of my kids to put up art.
Wow.
Seems legit.
Yeah. Now, listen, they're adults now, right? So it's I feel like time has passed enough where I could do that. But now I've now maxed out the art in the hallway. So looking for new space. Wife said that's it.
It's okay. I think it's I'm sure they will understand one day. The big picture they can always pick up, but the art there's only one piece of each of the art, so it's a good thing. Thinking way ahead. So we're limited on time today, so I kind of set a bit of a structure for us in this conversation, and so really just a quick recap. I think number one, most importantly, we'd love for you to share your favorite moment at Baltimore Comic Con. Number two, let's do a show and tell. I think is the part we're all looking forward to. I know some of us did some postings and whatnot, but I think it'd be kind of cool to just have your physical piece and talk a little bit about it, give us a little background. And then last, your most juicy and memorable conversation and with who. And so with that said, why don't we kind of go backwards? Ladies first, Tina, since we kind of came around, and then we'll go to Danny, and then we'll kind of go to Mickey and go from there. How's that sound, guys? And then feel free to chime in, guys. This is a fully casual conversation. Is just let it flow, and if Tina says something that's interesting to you, feel free to chime in, and vice versa.
The art for sure that interesting too. I'll just go with my two. I don't know if they were the best moments, but they were sort of the funniest, most memorable moments from the con. Were one was Michael Golden, who I had no idea who Michael Golden was when we were in OAX in January. And we walked by the table, and Danny's like, "Oh, he's comic royalty." Okay, and then was it Sunday night?
Yeah, it was last night.
Last night, the con was really over, and Michael was sitting at the bar, and Danny's like, "Oh, I'm going to buy him a drink." And we ended up talking to Michael Golden for hours, literally hours. Not even just about comic books. We were talking about movies and books and politics and everything. We had a rip-roaring time. Ran into Michael in Charlotte. He had no idea who we were. He actually said, "What's OAX?"
Oh, wow.
I'm like, sounds funny, but oh, hi. And we talked. We actually had just watched a movie he had recommended. We talked briefly.
You spent a lot of time at that bar at OAX.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. He sat down beside us. I'm like, I can't believe Michael Golden just sat beside
Yeah.
us. Yeah, we sat there for a long time. Yeah.
So
I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And then, so here in Baltimore, had a table again, went up, no clue who we are, doesn't know who OAX is, but I asked him to sign my sketchbook, just to, a signature, and so he actually said, "We'll always have OAX," is what I asked him to sign, and he did. And so now every time I see him, I'm going to make him re-sign that same phrase in my sketchbook until he actually knows me. But then the other one was in Charlotte. I had picked up a piece of art, a Constantine page from the movie.
The movie adaptation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Von Randall had it.
No, Ron Randall.
Ron Randall. Yeah. Sorry. And Jimmy Palmiotti did the inks, and I just missed him when we were in Charlotte. So I saw Jimmy this time in Baltimore and was asking him to sign it. And he did, and he was looking at it and was telling me a couple of things, because there was one part where Constantine's head was removed, and he knew the whole story about how it was licensed and it was really a rush job and everything, the studio had to approve everything. So presumably the likeness wasn't close enough to Keanu, and so they had to change it. So he's like, "But I can take me 15 minutes to just ink that for you." And I'm like, no, please don't. I just want it the way it is. But he starts erasing stuff, and he starts, he's like, "Oh, I would have done some more with the carpet." And he just
starts touching it up.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what I would do if
all
I
I would do
started.
was to grab the pen out of his hand and say, thank you. I just wanted to see a picture. But those were, just, I am sort of a purist. And I'm like, please don't change anything. I like it the way it is. If it has a stick on it, that's fine. That's part of the history. But he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I do this all the time." Good to know the next time I come up to you. But those were my two best stories. And I did pick up, I got a Kitson commission done while I was there, but I think those are my,
And Mickey must have something to do with that. The whole kits and Mickey at the table.
And so I asked for Emma Frost, and And this is what he did for me.
Very nice.
Nice.
Really nice.
Great.
Very nice.
Yeah, I
I
love
like
it.
I like the coloring too.
I love the colors. I love that her lips are blue, so frosty, very regal, as a white queen should be. And I have two other little like rough sketches of his that I showed and got to talk to him a bit about those. And he didn't have a lot of information on them, but still, it was enjoyable. Those were my highlights since we're on a schedule. I'll turn it over.
Man, Barry Kitson rocks, and you know, so real quick question for you guys, just for the panel, has that happened to any of you guys before? Because I think Tom, I think we were talking about getting Jose's inks in my book, pencils in my books, and then taking that to Carl to inks, and then have you guys done stuff like that before? Because then where did we stop? Like, did we then take it to the colors and get them to color it? Like, have you
I
guys
did
done
that.
multi-layer commissions
Yeah.
before? I've never done that.
Yeah. Well, when we get to me, I'll show you my colors on Jose's pencils.
Got it.
Nice.
Yeah. My conversations weren't as interesting. I mean, the one that was probably most memorable is I was walking by Mark Morales's table, and I think that was on Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and I had heard of Mark Morales, but I hadn't really looked at his art before. And just walking by, I saw he had a ROM piece sitting on his table, and I stopped and it was like, oh wow, that's beautiful. And I was wearing a ROM shirt, and he said, oh, he was a big ROM fan, and was flipping through the rest of his art, and we talked a while about ROM, and it turned out that both of us had bought a ROM Space Knight page from Anthony at the con that time. So I had seen the page that he had bought when Anthony had it, and he had seen the page that I got. So we were just comparing pages and talking about them. So just always fun to meet somebody, because Rom's such a minor character. I mean, maybe not as minor as Stingray, I'm not sure. Minor enough that people stop me all the time. Standing in line for Ben Edlund, a fan just came up, and he was in cosplay. We ended up talking for probably 15, 20 minutes about Rom. And I'm like, this guy might know more about Rom than I do. I'm going to have to brush up some more. So it was mainly just chatting with people at the con. That was a lot of fun.
I just started reading Rom. Yeah. Thankfully, his favorite character for decades, and I'm only on issue 2.
You gave up after issue 2? I don't blame you.
No. I literally before we came in here, I just started reading it because people were talking to him at the con, and since I become more involved, I'm like, this is terrible. People talk to him, and I have no idea what they're talking about.
So what is Rom? I haven't read Rom before. It's probably a little before my time, but does someone want to give a little general background on Rom and who he is?
I mean, really briefly.
Greatest of the Space
That's
Knights.
right. I mean, really briefly, it was a licensed property based on a toy, and the toy was awful. It had almost no articulation. It had like electronic sounds, but Marvel wanted to do more licensed properties, and Jim Shooter went to go meet with Parker Brothers, who owned it, and they wanted him to do this comic. He didn't really want to do it, but he brought in Bill Mantlo, and Bill Mantlo made up this whole history of the character that Parker Brothers had no story for him at all. He was just a robot. And so he made up a story that he's from another galaxy. There were these evil creatures, Dire Rays, that attacked their planet and destroyed the space fleet they had. And Rom was the first person to volunteer to fight them because they were very peaceful. And he gave up his humanity to basically have some of his parts put into a robot form. So he was a cyborg, and was fighting that war for 200 years, came to Earth, and they're shapeshifters. So it was like invasions of the body snatchers. People didn't believe him at first that there were aliens around. So it lasted 75 issues, had like 4 or 5 crossovers with other comics. Yeah, he is a little bit like X-Men War. Yeah. He like Rogue intersected with him because like he fought the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and Rogue kissed him to try to take his powers, and she couldn't do it, but she sensed like how noble and good he was, and that's what kind of set her on the path of becoming a hero. Forge based, he studied Rom's neutralizer, and the weapon that took Storm's powers in the X-Men that Forge created was actually based on Rom's neutralizer. So he tied into a few parts of Marvel, but really the comic only ran for about 6 years, and that was it. And then the rights went into limbo, so to speak. So for a long time, nobody could publish it, but Marvel just sort of got the rights back. So they published 3 volumes. Only 2 of them have come out so far, the ROM Omnibus that have all of them. So some people are rediscovering the character.
And I think they missed an opportunity there to call it the Romnibus.
Exactly. That's what all the fans call it. Yeah, Marvel totally should have. Yeah. But
So
anyway,
similar to like Machine Man, where they're kind of like stuck in limbo of rights. Kind of sad.
Yeah.
But I love Machine Man.
yeah, it's really because Parker Brothers, like, they went bankrupt and it put all the rights into limbo. Marvel had the rights to Dire Rays, so they still would pop up in Marvel Comics for a long time, and I think they're popping up now actually. But they couldn't actually use Rom or his likeness. So IDW did a series recently, which I got a commission from an artist who worked for IDW and did the Rom comics. But but he might be back for doing a Marvel Legends figure, so I'm thrilled that they're doing that. Yeah, and I picked up, this was the one thing I mainly wanted when I went to Baltimore, which was the end page to ROM number 28, where Starshine, another Space Knight, actually gets killed, and he spills the beans to a character, Brandy, that Rom is in love with, and she's in love with Rom, but neither of them know it. So it's a nice soap opera kind of page, but she actually stayed dead. Later, Brandy goes into her armor and becomes the new Starshine that Walt Simonson designed. So that was one thing. The ROM commission that was on Mark Morales' table, and like he has a video on Instagram of him drawing it, so that was kind of cool.
That's a nice one. That's cool.
Yeah. And I got this cover reimagining from ROM number 50, done by Guy Dorian, who was the artist who worked on the IDW ROM. But that was a big pivotal comic. A bunch of big stuff happened, but the cover really just had Dire Rays and Skrulls fighting, and had very little to do with the comic. So he created that for me to like more accurately represent what happened in the comic. And this is one I actually got from the same artist, Guy Dorian. I got this from him like a year ago, or at least I commissioned it, and then we were going back and forth on the cover reimagining for a long time. So he just held on to this until I picked that one up. So got them both in Baltimore. And the last one was this is not, it's a published page, but it's not come out yet. It comes out in November, and the next issue of Three Devils. So chatting with Bo Hampton for a while, he had them to choose from, and he actually thought this was his favorite page from the book. So I couldn't pass that up and picked it up from him.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice stuff.
Wow. Solid 6-to-1 ratio with Danny and Tina. Is that the usual ratio when you guys collect together?
I take up all the time. I have some I picked up some Bo Hampton art too. So yeah.
All righty. Thanks for that. That was amazing. I think that covered every piece of the agenda. So Mickey, I think we'll pass on to you next.
Okay, I guess my favorite part of the convention was I was helping Barry at his table, of course, all weekend. But I picked up some pages by the inker that Barry had penciled, and so I showed those pages to him on Sunday night, and he hadn't seen those pages in over 30 years. You know, I wanted him to sign them. So as he was signing the pages, we talked about what he felt like when he was drawing them back 30 years ago, how much he enjoyed the series, and so we had, you know, a nice reminiscent of his times back in DC when he was drawing those pages. And then my next memorable conversation was probably with Tony Harris. I'd known Tony for like 25 years. So a Sunday afternoon, I started insulting him at this table to the point where he finally said, you know, get the hell away from my table. So, but, you know, that's me and Tony. So as far as pickup goes, talking about, I picked up like 20-something pages of Barry Kitson's pencil art over Legion. Robin Smith was the inker. 4 of them were what we call card art. So they were the DC Cosmic cards from 1994. So
I remember
this one is, let's see, can you see? Let's get it straight.
Yeah, bring it more to your left.
Yeah, there we go. So this
The
one
DC
is
Cosmic
stealth.
art.
Yeah, it's this one is stealth. The other one was Lady Quark. This one is stealth. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
Maybe pull back a little bit, Mickey. There we go. I can see it better.
Yeah.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, I have that set in the other room. Yeah, cool.
And so, and then there was a bunch of panel pages I got. I was trying to complete some issues, and I came agonizingly close. I'm like one page away from completing this one issue, 2 pages away from completing another issue.
Wow.
So it's like I'm
Wow.
close, so close.
Wow. What issues
cool.
are you trying to complete?
It was Legion 92, and the ones I've got a lot of pages from is issues 35, 37, 39, and 40. And I
Wow.
do have the cover to 40. I don't have the covers to the other issues, but I'm gonna post them on Comic Art Fans and note which pages I'm missing, and put out the general want for that, for the missing pages. So, but it's
So-
it's over 30 years, so don't know
Wow.
if they'll surface by now.
So,
Is
Mickey,
it
have you
possible?
completed any issues before, or is this kind of the
Yeah,
first two that you put together?
I've got like 6 complete Legion issues,
Oh wow.
Damn.
and I got 1 Supergirl issue that's complete.
Wow.
That's cool.
Impressive.
Have
Anyone
you ever
else on
thought
the panel?
about getting? Have you ever thought about if those pages aren't going to surface after all these years? Have you ever thought about getting like a recreation?
Not really. I haven't thought about that. I mean, I could always Xerox the page and put load it up to level myself and stick it in the portfolio. So
Now, the 6 issues, did you buy any of them complete, or did you assemble them from ground up?
one I had to assemble through maybe like 5 heritage auctions,
Oh wow.
and
Damn.
another one 2 I bought complete, and then a couple others I got. I went to the pen store, got all his pages, and I went to Inker and got all his pages. And so, they hadn't sold anything yet, so I managed to catch them before they sold any pages. So I was able to complete the book that way. In fact, I think agonizingly, I'd picked up. There was a Leonard Kirk, Robin Riggs issue. I think it was Robin, and I picked up pages from Leonard Kirk's agent Spencer Beck. I got those pages. Then I went to Robin and got his pages. And then when I compared, I was missing 1 page. So I went back to Robin and said, "I'm missing a page." He goes, "You got all my pages." I went back to Spencer and said, "Hey, I'm missing one of these Leonard Kirk pages." And Spencer went back to Leonard, and I said, "Oh yeah, I kept that page. There was some obscure reason he kept the page, but he said I can sell it now." And so I got he sold me the page, so I was able to complete it. So, yeah.
Wow. So, Danny gave a pretty good rundown on Rom and his background and love for the character. So why Legion for you, Mickey?
Well, I was a big science fiction fan, and Legion is set in the 31st century, so it's science fiction and superheroes combined. So that was my first interest in Legion. And then the other good thing I really liked about Legion is they had all these different weird characters, misfits in certain cases, that it was just fun to see them all being part of a team and being accepted for who they were and what they were. You had Bunsen Boy, who was just like a fat boy, right? So and he was a valuable member of the team. You had people with weird powers that were members of the team. So
Wasn't there one called like Matter Eater Lad?
well, yeah, this Madrid lad, and then some of the ones
Is that
who
the
were rejected.
Stingray of Legion?
I don't know about that. I just thought the name was funny.
Yeah, you had like some of the ones that got rejected that became the Legion of Substitute Hero. You had people like Stone Boy. He could change himself into stone. That was his own power. Make himself, he couldn't move when he became stone. He just became a statue. And so
Nice.
they reject him, saying, that's a useless power. But yeah, it was
That's awesome.
fun.
What about One Arm Boy?
No, that was Arm Fall Off Boy.
Oh,
That was,
There's an arm fall off boy.
Yeah, it was suggested as a humorous. Somebody suggested the letter pages as a humorous character, and they actually ran with it and made him a Legion applicant. It was a guy who could pull his one arm off with another arm, and then use the arm he took off as a club.
It's Anthony
Wow.
last night with his mannequin.
Yeah,
Mickey is not joking. This character does exist.
Arm
Arm
Fall Off Boy
Boy.
was in the Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn did.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's right. He did shoot.
Was he?
Yeah, Nathan Fillion.
remember that.
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Wow. Well, there you go, guys. Arm
Marcus,
Fall
I
Boy.
enjoy the shoveler.
Learn something new every day. All right. So thanks, Mickey. That was a great share. Well, welcome Scott as well. Scott, we're into our sharing. So favorite moment at the con and also your pickups. And we just wrapped with Mickey, and I think we're moving over to Tim.
So I brought several pages of art for the artist or the writers to sign, and I took this Jim Lee piece for him to sign.
Wow.
Nice.
And
Nice.
he was telling me, he was asking me, how much did you pay for this? And I was like, I can't remember. I bought it a long time ago. The thing is, he was telling me that this is back when he first started. This piece is dated 1990. So he said he was doing these pieces for $25 back then.
Wow.
Woo!
A little pricier these days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Darn inflation.
And my favorite moment of the con is when I approached on Sunday Art, and I was on his list, but let me see. Saturday, he had only completed 2 of the pieces, so I didn't think I'd I'd get this, but it was the last piece he completed. So
Congratulations.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Very
yeah,
nice.
I was asking for the 30-minute one, but if it would have been that option, I wouldn't have gotten it. So I got the 15-minute option.
Yeah, that's really good for 15 minutes.
That's impressive.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought he didn't like to draw too much at shows, but when he was doing my piece, I stayed there for seeing him work. And the reason he doesn't get many pieces done is because everybody's talking to him, so he's stopping all the time, and that's why I think he doesn't complete too many pieces. Then afterwards, I I also ended up going to Albert's booth, and I got a Cassidy piece
Nice.
Very nice.
Wow.
Nice.
from
Very
Planet
appropriate.
before they
What-
he
What
sells
book was that
out.
from, Tim?
Huh?
What book was that from?
Planetary.
Nice.
This is the origin of the 4
Wow.
when they get their superpowers.
Oh, excellent. Great.
It's a nice piece. And I also did a trade with Albert. I brought some art to see if anybody wanted to purchase it, which I was gonna show you guys at the dinner, but we didn't stay with William E. Lawson because we saw that the table was full, so we thought we couldn't sit there, so we decided to go elsewhere. But I did a trade and got this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Nice.
This is a very special piece for me. This is the cover for the Baltimore 2010 program. And the
That's
thing
cool.
is, that was the first con that my now wife, who was a girlfriend back then, went with me.
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
time.
Nice.
That's great.
So it was her first con.
Does she collect?
No, she doesn't. But she helped me out. She helps me out getting signatures, sketches, anything at the con, anything I need help with.
That is so cool.
This is the ink piece. So this piece actually came with two pencil pieces and one prelim. All of them 11 by 17. Well, I think this is bigger than 11 by 17. It's 11, but it's longer. I don't know why. 17 and a quarter inch. Because it wouldn't fit in my microtech scanner. I didn't
Wow.
get the signature scanned properly. But it was a great convention. Baltimore is one of my favorite ones. I think that's the con I've most attended. I've been there 7 times, I think, overall.
It's a long way to go. You must really like it.
Yeah, it's really comic centric. It's a nice convention.
A super long way to go.
Not
I
really
think
long. It's a 4 hour airplane ride. So people that come from the West Coast, they have a longer flight than I do.
Oh, I guess so, huh? I guess mine was way longer than yours, like like hour and a half. But
Yeah.
welcome. Well, while we have a second here, welcome Carl, the other Carl. S.
Hello. Had to up the Carl quota in this chat, so
We have to,
Sorry,
we
I'm a
got-
little late here. Family stuff derailed me. So
All good. You already have our agenda as our favorite moment and our favorite pickup. So Tim just
Yeah.
finished sharing. I didn't know this, but there was a maximum of 10 people on stage. So as
Oh.
we kind of move around, I might actually remove myself, but I'll be around. Just want to get
Yeah.
the conversations going. But we had a bit of an order earlier, and so Tim just finished. Tim, thanks for sharing. You definitely hit all the heavy hitters, so that was amazing. And I think next, who do we have next? It's Rick next or Peter next? I think Rick, right? Yeah, I think Rick is
I can go
next.
next. I mean, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I was just pulling some things out of my portfolio. As far as favorite, I would say it's just meeting fellow art collectors. That's always kind of my highlight, is just chatting with new people and seeing people I haven't seen in a while, and getting to know each other a little better, and kind of going through each other's collections, and just sharing stories. That's always the main goal for me, to go to these types of events. I don't go to too many comic shows anymore. Um, I tend to go to art shows mostly, but this one I went specifically because I had a commission to pick up. And so I got on Frank Cho's list, and after, I guess I got lucky, and just kind of found, because normally for commissions he does bigger pieces, but he did this particular piece for me. And people who know Frank Cho's work know that he draws beautiful women. And so, as a Captain America fan, I wasn't going to waste Frank Cho's talent on Captain America. I just that's like getting Kevin McGuire to do Iron Man. He's the master of facial expressions, right? Like you want to go to people's strengths. So for a female character, I said, all right, who's Captain America related that I would love to see him do? And that was Viper, Madam Hydra. And so on Saturday, he showed up, I guess probably around 2ish, and I was able to pick up my finished commission. So he brought it with him, and I did share it on CAF, but I will go ahead and share it with these folks today.
Nice.
This is supposed to be a bust, but as you can see, he did much more.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got a little extra, bang for my buck. He went down to the thighs and the nice background, and I didn't expect the snake. And so it's really cool with the coloring. And if you look, the cross hatching that he did on the background, and just the coloring on the snake, it's just
Super loads.
lot of detail.
I really like the green lips.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I just
exactly. Yeah.
And blue eyes.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I went and I picked this up. That was, the reason, the art, it was the only art that I picked up, was the one that I already pre-done. I tried to see if there were some other things, but I got to tell you, I've been over my art budget back since April. That
Join the club.
Yeah, so it was either trying to trade or sell, and that didn't work out. So I was okay. As far as some stories, I will say I am also, for the same character, on Art Adams' list, and I've been on his list for about a year and a half, and I don't have any Art Adams work, and so I was, again, Art Adams does Beautiful Women. You don't waste a Captain America on him. So again, I went with Viper, Madam Hydra. So I was in line and I saw him Saturday morning. This was before I picked this up, but I did have an image of it on my phone, and I reminded him that I was on his list, and I showed him. I said, by the way, I'm picking this up today for Frank Cho, and I showed it to him on my phone, and he looked at it and immediately said, "Mine's not going to be as good." And which, I think is just being modest, but then he said, do me a favor, send me an image of that, and because I want to see that, because who knows, maybe he'll make sure that when he's doing mine, it's complimentary, it's different or of some sort. But that's it. And the other thing too is, with the podcast that I do, which is focused on Captain America comic books, I also went to meet various comic book Captain America creators to see if they'd be a guest on the show. So it was cool talking with Steve Epting and Jeff Loeb. I got them to sign some original art that I brought with me. So this was a page from Captain America #1 that he did with, the Ed Brubaker series, and so I got him to sign this, and then this page from issue 6, which is a historic page because it is the page right before Bucky is revealed as the Winter Soldier. And this is where Sharon basically says, "Cap, I think I know who it is. And you turn the page and it's Bucky." So I can't afford that page, so I got this one.
You got the one before it.
I got this one before.
The foreplay.
Yeah, and so Steve signed those, and then Jeff Loeb, real nice guy. He signed this Captain America white page for me, with Cap riding a motorcycle up the Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
Funny thing is, I also took a page for Steve to sign because he was in the credits, but it ended up he didn't work on it. So he was like, "I can sign it for you if you want, but I didn't work on it. I'm positive about it." So
Oh wow!
made the whole trip in vain.
It's funny is I heard from Frank Cho that he sometimes gets confused with Mike Cho.
Yep.
And Mike Cho sometimes gets confused with Frank Cho, and they got tired so many times at shows to say I'm not Mike or I'm not Frank, and they just now sign it.
Nice.
Yeah, they posted that on Facebook with taking 2 pictures.
Yeah,
Themselves pointing at each other.
You're muted.
You're on mute, Carl.
I had to hop on for this one because there were so many times I was confused for being Sean Chen. So I literally had to say I'm not Sean. So I proactively say I'm not Sean, and then it's funny because I text Albert Moy, and I was like, "Hey, it's funny. People keep thinking I'm Sean." He's like, "Dude," he's like, "People think I'm Jim all the time." So I had to print T-shirts that says I'm not Jim Lee. So I think the next time you guys see me at con, I might have a I'm not Sean Chen shirt.
Nice.
But let me finish that up.
At OAX, Sean Gordon Murphy's rep had a pin on his lapel and said, "I'm not the artist." It was like so it's like you gotta get it out there somehow. It's not me.
Reminds me of Rick Springfield's "They Call Me Bruce" song because people confuse him with Bruce Springsteen. Yeah.
Who's next?
I completely lost track of the order.
I think Peter is next. So
Okay. Hey,
Peter, you're up.
hey, Carl. So my most memorable, I think, time I've been to Baltimore 20 times or so, and my my most memorable for this time was first Tom McDonald asked me to do a short interview for him of Joe Staten, and as he shared with some of the other folks in the group, Joe is very soft spoken and fairly non emotional, and so I got him to. In during the interview, I asked him about, as the co-creator of Night Huntress, he takes a lot of pride in that, and so I know that he takes photos of cosplay players who show up with in that costume. So I asked him about that, and he really liked that. He got a little bit
Got excited.
Yeah, he got a little excited.
Started yelling huntresses. It was hilarious to see him do that. We
It's
have that
pretty
on
funny.
video. Yeah.
So that was particularly memorable. I had a similar Tony Harris encounter as Mickey, but he didn't tell me to go away. But he told me that my knowledge was inferior to his, and he proved it about the JSA and about Hawk Girl. And the final memory is a sad one. It's about the John Cassaday. They had a memorial panel. I missed the Ramona Fredone memorial panel. I did see the photos that the family had, but the John Cassaday memorial panel was, it was emotional. Um, Particularly, his friends were up there. Albert was up there because as his art rep, and he was emotional. He was broken up and he couldn't speak. Well, he didn't speak very much. Um, and I spoke a little bit. And I got emotional. I didn't even know. I had barely one. I had a short conversation with him, but he had Hollywood looks, but a heart of gold. And apparently, he would give anybody his devoted time and attention as much as they needed. And he was always interested in introducing his other friends. And they said he never had a bad moment, a negative thing. He was always a truly nice person. So that's very tragic that should happen to someone so young. I also came across this artist named Sean Chun, who had this little thing about Tippi Hedren. Oh my goodness, what's going on with Tippi Hedren? Oh my God!
That thing's
So
the
he had
best.
all kinds of fun
That's
things that he
crazy
had
cool.
created that were
Great.
pretty interesting, including a pinball machine of what was it, Black Cat?
Yeah,
That
Sean's a
was pretty cool.
maniac. He just showed up, like literally never previewed it, never showed me pictures, anything, and just like on the second day of the con said, "Oh, I also bought this. What do you think?" And it's like a full-on built-out pinball machine.
It worked.
And-
I played it.
You don't want to play it. It has a piece of original art on it.
Carl made me. I did it.
Well, it's funny because
Probably you could.
people did ask me about that, and I said, "Oh, it's so you could naturally wear down the piece, so it's kind of like interactive, you know, interactive creation. So like when you're playing on this, the art will get worn down the right way." And Sean's like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of cool." That's what it is
Tell
now.
them about the barf bags.
Oh yeah,
The bags
don't
that
have
had
those.
like you had one figure on it, and then you would open it up, and it would be like Wolverine snicked or something like that. They
Yeah,
were
I've
just
seen
like
those
lunch
on
bags
Instagram.
or bakery bags. That was kind of interesting.
He's such an
He's very
engineer.
inventive.
Yeah.
And my only two pickups were of 2 pages from Weird War Tales number 41. It's a Civil War story by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez that I've been trying to put together or begun to put together. I have 8 of the 18. The reason I like the story, besides that it's Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and it's his second published work for DC, is that it's based on a true event, anti conscription riot during the Civil War. in New York City, following like 10 days a week after Gettysburg. Not related to Gettysburg, but it involves a lot of economic tensions and resentment that had built up during the Civil War. But of course, it's weird war tales, so it involves ghosts. So ghosts interlaced with real Civil War action and Civil War event.
Very cool.
So now we know Peter collects war pieces and ghost pieces.
Did you get that from Jose Luis Garcia?
One page I did, and the other page, a very kind friend, Rich Cirillo, had purchased it previously from Jose at a con this year, and he knew I was interested in it. He let me buy it from him.
Nice.
So it's very, very
cool.
super kind of him. I really am very appreciative. That was an act of kindness.
Definitely.
And it was the same price that Jose charged. So
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's even better.
Awesome pickup, Peter. And thanks for sharing. I think next is our faithful leader of the Hard Rock crew, Tom McDonald himself.
Well, I don't know if there's any leadership involved, but I certainly did enjoy meeting everybody. That was a highlight. I celebrated all week for Baltimore Comic Con. I started buying the previous Sunday, and I'll cheat and just share one piece I got because it's the Baltimore Comic Con cover of George Perez. So I picked that up, and that actually arrived. So I am cheating. I got this up, but it is a Baltimore related. So I finally got a George cover. I'm really happy about that. We spoke about Ramona Fraden. Carl did a really nice job of actually speaking at Ramona's memorial service. I had picked this up from Anthony just prior to the memorial service. There's a Jim Starlin piece of Mongol, really well detailed, from the mid 90s. It's kind of a Mongol redone, like a new 52. Just briefly, we talked about getting things colored. So I had a couple things colored in Baltimore. So these were Dick Giordano pencils and inks that I had colored at the show.
Wow.
That's pretty nice.
That's cool.
And we talked about pencils.
Who was the colorist?
You know what? The name escapes me. I should have been better prepared. He was
think
a young
it was
starting
Charles
artist.
Stewart.
Charles Stewart III. Yes,
Yeah, there you
thank
go.
you.
Yep.
Yeah, and very talented. I mean, he's an artist, but I was walking by the booth and I saw his colors and they just really struck me. So I asked him if he wanted to do it and he was very happy. So I had originally this pencil piece last year from Baltimore, and it's a very rare Garcia Lopez Green Lantern.
Wow.
So I had then that inked and a background put on by Andy Smith. And then I had Charles color it.
That's cool.
That's
nice.
so cool.
Yeah.
So
I want to do that.
So I have a lot of fun with that as well. I think having your art colored, obviously you do blue lines. It's a way to get continued enjoyment out of your art without necessarily having to spend more money. And then finally,
does anyone else do that? Sorry, Tom. Does anyone else do that? I've never seen anyone do that before. Like,
I have, and I'll pull it off my wall if you want to see it.
You did a real nice
All right,
thing, Rick.
yeah, Tom, you keep talking.
Yeah, you go get that. That's great. And then we spoke about John Cassaday, and that was a tough one. And the friends on his panel were very, very brave to get up there. And it was suggested during the panel that we go down to Albert's booth and we take a look at his art. Now, I hadn't seen John's art since Astonishing X-Men. In fact, that was the longest run I collected. I was familiar with his art. And I know I had seen the Superman cover that they popped up in the memorial. It was of a kid looking up with a black eye. And I know I had seen it in the past. I can't tell you I knew it was John's. But when I went down to look at his art, I started looking at some real nice covers he'd done from Dynamite. There was Green Hornet, there was Lone Ranger. But then I came across that cover, and I had to have it.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
over the weekend I had but Monday I had a transparency done that lays over the art, and this
That's
is the
cool.
actual comic.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's
So
beautiful. That's
Beautiful.
that
That's
has
beautiful.
so much presence.
yeah,
Yeah, and you work fast too, because when I last saw you, you literally just had it, as a raw page, and then you got transparency.
Yeah, I had some time. I'm lucky. There's a FedEx Prince office that I have a good relationship with, and they banged me, did the transparency for me real quick. So that's my pickups, and then quickly I'll tell you my favorite moment. I put a photo in the chat. I don't know if you can click on it and bring it up, Peter. If not, I'll just talk about it. But at the auction, Walt Simonson was auctioning off this stat of his. He did a Carl Barks fanzine back in the 70s, and I outbid Anthony for it, $150.
Yeah.
So why would I outbid? Yeah, why would I pay $150 for a stat of Walt's work? Well, I got an opportunity to go up to him afterwards and say, "Hey, can we talk about that?" And for an interview, a video interview, and he said yes. So I have a 10-minute interview with Walt Simonson that will probably air at some point on one of Bill's updates.
That's
That
awesome.
alone was worth
Very
$150.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Plus, I got a 10-15 interview with Howard Chaykin as well. So those were two of my greatest moments, other than meeting all you guys.
It was
Very
also
cool.
great to see everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. I can't wait to see that interview because, not only did you score like an awesome deal, but I also feel like it makes it extra meaningful because,
Yeah,
often Walt, he'll talk about his pieces, but I don't know how many people actually record what he says.
You know,
And so,
Well, and
I
he
was-
also walked around for like 10 minutes pitching this
Yeah.
stat. I mean, he really
He
was,
was-
just selling it.
Yes.
as much as he was selling the $16,000 Thor piece,
Yeah.
he was talking about that. So I figured he'd be very enthusiastic. And to be honest, I was quite interested in it. And to sit down with him like that in a one-on-one, I was a huge fan of George Perez, and I never had a chance to have that kind of interaction with him. So to sit down and have that kind of chat with Walt was pretty special. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with everyone.
Yeah. Can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, Tom, I'm excited to see your videos. I know you and Carl were running around doing some shooting, so I'm sure there's going to be some great cuts. But want to
be
thank
fun.
you on behalf of the group too. I think I speak for everyone when we say how appreciative of you we are for bringing all of us together because it was a really fun weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
For
weekend.
sure.
Yeah, you guys have all collected a lot longer than me, so I learned a lot from you guys. So thanks for that.
Carl, I
Alrighty.
grabbed this off the wall to answer your question. If anybody
Oh,
else
yeah.
has hand-colored stuff. So I'm a big Mike Zeck fan. And this actually does tie into Baltimore because back in 2019, I went to the Baltimore Comic Convention, and it was Mike Zeck and John Beatty. Now, Mike's semi-retired now in the Philippines. So I feel lucky to have gotten this commission. And I wanted him to do a Captain America bust that was similar to Captain America 275 cover, and which is he's hiding behind a shield and he's angry and everything. So he went ahead and he did it after the show. So he pencils it, then he sends the pencils to John Beatty, who inks it, and then John sends it to me. And I asked John, I said, if you don't mind, can you make a copy of the pencils? I want to see, what the pencils look like. And so he sent me both a printout of the pencils, a copy, and then the original pencils and inks. Then I met with Bob Sharon. Now, Bob Sharon is a legendary colorist for Marvel Comics. He has done, thousands and thousands and thousands of issues, not pages, issues. And so he was the colorist on Captain America back when Mike Zeck and John Beatty had their run. And so I gave him a copy of what John sent me, and then he hand colored that. So then I was like, well, I want to put these all in one frame. And I decided to go with a vertical frame so that your eyes logically kind of follow it as opposed to horizontally. So this is the finished product right here. So you have the copy of the pencils and the inks, and then a hand colored
Wow.
copy. So
That's
all
cool.
together,
That's gorgeous.
Wow.
yeah,
Very
all,
nice
Cool.
composition.
So good. So good.
and I highly recommend Bob Sharon if you ever want to get something hand colored, especially by any creators that were in the 70s and 80s when he was doing it, so that you have that kind of nostalgia feel to it. He's very reasonable and he's very quick, and he does an excellent job.
Nice.
Super inspiring. I feel like I'm already thinking about pieces I have that I've commissioned that I want to put into colors now.
Yeah. And Tom, how did you do it when you went to the con? You had those pieces with you, or like?
I had high res prints with me, and there's a couple different paper stocks that you can get at Kinko's. You want the 60-pound, kind of the mid-grade 60-pound paper, because the thin stuff will kind of bleed through. But you can print it out on that, and it'll take to markers pretty well. But I also took 2 or 3 copies. They're about $2 a piece, in case the colors makes a mistake or they want to test the paper. So always have a couple copies ready.
Cool. Rich Sidhu reached out to me wanted to color a Tom Rainey ROM piece that I got, and so I think he did it digitally, just sending this.
Yeah, he does digital.
Yeah.
I have a Green Lantern cover by Joe Staten that Rich colored it digitally, and I love Rich does great works, but there's something about hand coloring.
Exactly. Yeah. I never thought to do that, so now I'm going to have to do it.
Super cool. It looks great. All right, thanks for that, Rick, and thanks Tom again. That multi-phase commissioning, I think it's gotten us all a little interested. So hopefully we have more to share next time. So with that said, Mr. Stingray, I think you're up next.
Okay, cool. I'll keep it quick. I would say maybe one of the favorite moment for me was Saturday afternoon. All of us kind of went upstairs and got a table, and everybody pulled out portfolios, and we just kind of sat around and looked at each other's art. And unfortunately, I hadn't brought a portfolio because I wasn't sure what to bring. So next time, like at OAX, I think I'm going to put together something to bring with me. Maybe a Stingray portfolio. We'll see. As far as pickups, yeah, you're good. You're good. I did the Axe Wheeler John Zoop campaign last year. I went ahead and just got the bare bones version. I didn't get a signature or doodle or anything like that. So I got Nick Patara to sign it and draw in it for me at the show this weekend. And the only other thing that I brought home with me was, it was a good con. It was great meeting all you guys, but it's not a great con unless I get a Stingray commission.
There it is.
And I got the Sean Chen.
Nice.
Hey, he's on the show.
Yeah. But this one was I paid for the black and white. I think that was all Sean is really doing this weekend. But apparently, when he did it with all of the the dark at the bottom there, he said that the figures kind of disappeared. He wasn't happy with how it looked, and the only way to fix that was to add color. So he painted it.
Yeah, nice bonus.
Yeah. So we love free upgrades, and it's a really great piece. And it's really funny because Sean didn't even really know who Stingray was. He was like, "Is that Marvel or DC?" And I was like, "Oh man!" But I asked him. I asked him first, "Would you be willing to do a Stingray for me?" He said, "Yeah, I'll try it." And I said, and it turned out great. So I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I really appreciate the character, but in black and white, it just wasn't good enough. So I
wasn't doing it. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you felt that way.
Yeah, Carl's going to take all the credit.
So I'm also going to throw in Noel's cap interview in the chat for anyone watching. His long form cap interview just happened on Tuesday. Yep. And it was cool because like us all hanging out at Hard Rock, it was like a little preview. So it was kind of cool to, as we're watching it. Oh yeah, that's cool. Got the little behind the scenes ahead of time.
Little secret sauce.
All right. Thanks, Noel.
Yep.
So awesome pickup. Who's next? I think SCG.
All right, Jason.
Awesome. So yeah, I had a great time as everybody else did. I had managed to pick up an Andy Kubert piece off of a show prior to coming to Baltimore. So had I just came to Baltimore and picked it up, physically picked it up, that would have been enough. But as you know, when we start walking by those Bristol boards, we start feeling the draw. So I will start backwards. And I bought this from Anthony, and I found out after the fact that somebody on this panel might actually recognize this page.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's the one I traded for. Yeah, that's hilarious.
So I posted it, and then I said, well, I went to look for some information for like that issue or whatnot, and it came up, and I said, well, they must have traded it while they were at the show.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the story here? What's the story here? You guys share. That's so funny.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I've just picked it up from Anthony. It was in his new pile, and Anthony just spent a bunch at the art auction, so he was happy to make a deal, especially after the one we did early in the show. So this is Carol Danvers and Rogue battling it out, and with their history and origin, it was a nice design page. Lots of buildings, which you'll see another one later that I picked up. Like that. So, Albert Moy got some of my money too. This is for the David Finch piece. Got Bane drowning the Batman.
No, very cool.
I was born into it. So that was cool. I actually got a Liam Sharp Wonder Woman piece that Albert had to mail back because it's super oversized. And then here's the colored version, spoiler alert, of what the Ed McGuinness Avengers piece that I got.
Wow.
Oh, that is so cool. I got to tell you, when you showed me that on Saturday afternoon, I was so jealous. That is a great Cap on a motorcycle. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, Cap throwing the shield, motorcycle. I mean, that's like, you know, you're going to get a Cap page. That's definitely one to get. Got a pretty cool Transformers and doing what they do. Transforming. Okay.
Who is it on the Transformers?
This is issue 42. I forget there's some of the later Generation 1 Transformers. It's not like the ones most people know, like Bumblebee and
No, but who's the artist?
Jose Delpo.
Jose Delpo. Okay, that was what I was going to guess.
Yep. And I got that in a package deal from Anthony.
Nice.
And then I just happened to be standing at Sean's booth when somebody came up to get a commission. And it was a nice painted Nightwing and Red Hood piece. And so Sean had painstakingly, I would imagine, gone through the penciling and inking and then traced the finished image on a separate piece of paper to paint on it. So essentially, this person was getting the second piece, not the original. And so the original was just like throwaway. And so I have to say, he gave me a throwaway price for this great piat.
Wow. What?
So, I mean, the perspective on it, I mean, it looks great that way, or it looks great that way. But, you know, the building designs, you can see he was kind of laying that out on the back here.
That's awesome.
But yeah, fully.
Yeah, I have to say that was the deal of the con. That was a deal. 100%.
Yeah,
it was very generous of you, Sean.
That's right. Sean was very generous. But yeah, he just kind of threw it up. He's like, yeah, I don't know what I charge for it. So picked that up. Actually,
only for my friend Jason. Only because only for him, but no one else.
Oh, we done? I'm sorry.
Well,
you're back.
So So yeah, I actually got a whole book. I'm talking to because I'm thinking it might be Ernie Colon because he done the other books in this series, but it's called The Last Battle. But it's every page in the book, and it's actually the Transformers the animated movie story, where Optimus. Fast forward, spoiler alert: Optimus dies, and
Oh,
Wow.
so looking up to see if that ever even actually got published. But it definitely was a fun con. Spent way too much. Got a bunch of signatures from a bunch of different artists. Had a great time Saturday afternoon. Not only Friday meeting everybody, but then Saturday just looking at all the amazing art right there. There was actually one piece that somebody showed Saturday that I happened to be standing beside Bob Wyachek signing a pinup. And I said, "Oh, I saw that original art today." And he's like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. It's still around." And the person was just like in awe, which I happen to know the person that was getting that signed too. So, it was definitely some fun stuff, and look forward to OAX and other meetups in the future.
So glad you got that X-Men Legacy piece. That's the first time I've ever gotten rid of a piece of my art. I traded 3 pages to lower the price on that ROM Space Knight page I got. So
okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, that's all I got.
that's great. Am I up?
You're up.
I'm up. Oh, okay. Hey, everybody. I was having issues with this is the first time on this platform, so for some reason my desktop was not working, so I'm on my phone. But other than convincing Stingray to buy a complete issue of the Thunderbolts from Anthony, which I consider a great success.
Spoiler.
Enabler.
Yes. I will enable all day. I love
It's
it.
always
Absolutely.
easier to spend somebody else's money, man.
Yes, I did, Tom. Yep.
I can live vicariously through you guys. Well, I was not at the portfolio review because I actually went to a on Saturday because they were having the auction for the program. The theme was the tick, so I did pick up a couple items, and one of those was this, which is Alex Saviak, who drew kind of like a cover worthy tick piece. And I really like it because it's got the tick prominently. And then all these
really
people around here, I recognize some of them, but I didn't know all of them. I mean, it's like a deep cut with the tick, and I know like some of the main villains. But one of the things that I really enjoyed was I went up to him on Sunday and talked to him, and I showed him this piece, and I said, how did you figure out? Well, first I asked him if this is an homage to some Spider-Man cover, and he said no. But then I asked him about all these people around here. I said, where did you get them? I mean, how did you know all these characters? And he said, well, when he got when he agreed to do this, he forgot about it. And then like the day before it was due, the person from the con contacted him and said, hey, are you going to send us that art? Right. And he's like, oh, and so he like spent the whole day working on it, and the person from the con actually sent him like 3 tick covers, and because he said the only one I really know is the tick and a couple of the main characters, so he actually borrowed from a couple of those covers and that's where all these people are, and he thought they were interesting, and so he added them. So I thought that was cool. And the other cool thing was that he said he gave me his email, and he said, send me a message and I'll send, because he couldn't remember who the artists were or what they were from, but send me an email and I'll send you a PDF of what the covers were. So so I thought that was cool. And I did lie to him though, because he said how much did the art go for? And because he was like, I really wanted to do it for charity, and especially after he told me he worked on it for a day. So I lied to him and I told him it was like more than I actually bid. But I don't think it was indicative of his work, but they have just so many items, and it's sort of like the heroes auction. Like by the time you get to the end, I think everybody's just exhausted with bidding. So, and some of those some of those later pieces don't go for what they should. So, and the heroes auction will haunt me too, because I'm looking back at that and I'm like, I should have bid on some of that, like a Kevin Eastman color Turtles cover with Usagi for 2K. I mean, that's it'll haunt me. So on Sunday I made it to Albert's booth, and I did see a bunch of pieces that really impressed me, which I wasn't too familiar with Liam Sharp's work, but he all his pieces are like twice up or even bigger, and I'm a Cyborg fan. Like Tom, I'm a big George Paris fan and love Cyborg. So this was actually from Justice League, and it's a tie-in to Dark Knight's Metal, but it's huge, and it's a scene where like Cyborg is flashing back. It was in the Liam did a one issue of the Justice League, and this is the opening page. But basically, he's being tortured, and he's being forced to recall things. And I like the half, kind of like the Spider-Man half, the half of Vic Stone, half Cyborg down here. So, and it's really cool. It's big, and I carried it around, and it wouldn't even fit in my portfolio. And to get it back on the plane, I actually had to buy a mailing cylinder and roll it up and put it in there to get it back. And then finally, just the last thing was something I just picked up. Actually, we had a comic book signing here in Kansas City, and Freddie Williams and John Samariva, if you guys are familiar, they're Freddie's done a lot of crossover books, and he's done like Turtles of Grayskull right now, a huge TMNT with the Masters of the Universe that's being released right now. But Tom is from Australia, and he's done a lot of DC stuff. He's done his own book, The Neverlanders, which is a continuation of Peter Pan, and it won a whole bunch of awards. But it's like an adult Peter Pan, or what would happen if they got older. But he's also drawn Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures, which is a fun book. It's kind of like the Batman Adventures, or a animated spin-off of the Batman TMNT that Freddie did. But anyway, he had a page for sale at this signing yesterday, and I love Harley, and this is from Strange Love Adventures, which is one of those one-off short, like 80-page giant books that DC has been doing around themes. Like they did one for Christmas, and this was the second one they did for Valentine's Day. But this is really fun because in the story that John drew, and I bought this page from him yesterday at the signing at our local comic shop here. Harley is like, she is spray painting the Justice League because she's mad at the Justice League, and Shazam comes over and tries to stop her. And I think this has to be, and she's mad at him, and she attacks him with her mallet, and then she doesn't get to him because, of course, he's indestructible. But then if you see in the last panel, she does finally piss him off because she bites his ear. So I just love it. And that's all. Thanks for letting me share.
Cool. Very cool.
Mike Tyson move.
Yeah. Does have an Achilles ear. Yeah.
I got that reference.
Yeah.
All right, hey, I will make this quick. I'm gonna post. I have one piece that I brought. I'll show, but I'm gonna post a video. I did a video recap earlier this week for all my Baltimore pickups, so I don't want to take too much time on that. I just put it in the chat. But the past couple of years, when I go to Baltimore, I have since it's always in the fall, I've got Frankenstein commissions, because I like to kind of throw. Every artist has at least some attachment to those characters, and so this year. Jesse Lonergan, who I kind of discovered through CAF and a bunch of other Facebook posts and stuff. But he did a Frankenstein's monster for me, which is like crazy
That was
cool.
really cool in person.
Yeah, it's because he does a lot of like Zipatone type texturing sheets that he puts over it, and then he does all those background panels, and you got like Frankenstein's. He's both in and out of the panels. He's like stepping out of them, and it's just it's unbelievable in person. But
a little Kirby Crackle.
That is
yeah,
amazing.
the lightning.
Hey, what was the prompt for that, Carl? That's freaking awesome, man. I couldn't
that
believe
is
it when I saw it.
amazing.
The prompt was since I'd seen a couple of commissions that he had done, and he makes use of there's a Darth Vader commission that somebody shared on one of the I think CAF updates, and it's a Vader choking somebody out, and it's in the background it's just this panel of all you see like the internal organs of the Imperial officer. And so I know he did some stuff like that as background stuff. So I just said, okay, so if you could do like a Frankenstein central figure, and then in the background, if you want to use those panels to just put elements of the creation, the castle. That I kind of gave him like almost all the. I mean, he did some of the like the brain and I actually did say some body parts, but yeah, I just said if you could do anything that just is reminiscent of his creation, that would be amazing. And I love how the lightning crackle through the back there is super super cool. But yeah, that floored me. So talking about memories, first of all, I want to thank Tom McDonald for getting us all together. That was awesome. And yeah, very much. Take a bow, sir. Take a bow. So in doing that, Tom had talked to me and said, "Hey, we're going to film some. I'd like to film some interviews at the show. And if there's any artists that you're friendly with, or and I said, well, Dan Jurgens is I'm a huge fan of Dan's. I chatted with him a lot at OAX, and he's always a super nice guy. And I had gotten an OAX commission from Dan that I brought back to the show to have him sign in ink, because he had originally signed it in pencil, and then Brett Breeding inked over it, and then had Dan erase the pencil signature and then sign it in ink. Anyway, so I had that piece with me, and I said, well, I can maybe see if Dan will want to sit down and talk about that piece. And Dan was game to do it. And Death of Superman is, I mean, I'm a broken record. Like that's my kind of like entry point into reading weekly comics. And so to sit down with Dan and just, it was like a 4 or 5 minute chat, but it was amazing. Like if you would have told my 13-year-old self that one day I'd be sitting down and he knows me by name, it's just a very, very cool feeling. And I owe that all to Tom. So huge thanks there.
You did a good job, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like,
it's a good interview.
It was fun. He's always super easy to talk to. So
yeah,
he did most of the heavy lifting, and so there were things that I was thinking of, and that he would say it. I was like, oh, perfect. I don't even have to do any of this. I just have to let him talk. So, and then the other moment that was really kind of poignant, and Tom touched on it earlier, the Ramona Fradon memorial panel. I love Ramona Fradon's work. I was introduced to a lot of DC characters through Super Friends, the cartoon, and then I discovered her work on the comic tie-in series years later. But to me, her work always just represents purity, DC Comics goodness. So I've been buying a lot of pieces through Catskill Comics. Scott Kress is her rep. And when he said they were going to put together a memorial panel, they wanted to do it for the fans. So they were going to have a bunch of, colleagues, friends speaking at the panel. But then they said, we'd love to have fan involvement, and just to make sure that there was at least one fan that wanted to speak, which I knew there would be others. But he said, would you like to speak? And I said, absolutely. I would be honored to do that. And that was, it was such a, it was such an amazing experience to be in that room with a bunch of people that just love Ramona Fradon, and you can, you felt it. Her daughter was there, and you hear the stories of the stories of Ramona as mom, and that was just very, very, very touching. And Tom can attest. Now, I know, Peter, you mentioned that you got choked up with the John Cassaday thing. I I was speaking and I lost it. It was so, and I only ever really talked to Ramona a couple times at Baltimore the year she was there, but there were brief conversations. And so my attachment to her is through the art. So, and that's enough to stir up all those emotions. So it was, and then to have everyone else there speaking, and it was thrilled that I had the opportunity to do that. So those two things were the sit down with Dan and being at the Ramona Freighton panel. That's unbelievable experiences, and plus on top of that, meeting everyone, fellow collectors at the show. So yeah, I didn't pick up a whole lot of stuff. I mean, at the show, I mean, it compared to say like years past where I would just kind of go crazy. But it really was the experiences through the hobby, the artists, the fellow collectors. That was what those show highlights were for me. So yeah, so that's all I got there.
And Ramona was still killing it on commissions well into her 90s.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get multiple pieces through her, and actually I think this was soon before she passed, she actually did a Jonah Hex commission for me, and then I think Scott had said that was the last request that they actually were able to get through before their health declined. So, but you think 97, that's a gift to be able to have that. Her work was sharp all the way to the end, which was amazing. So. Quite sad that she passed, but we should all be so lucky to have that successful of a life, and then just to hear the stories of just the wonderful woman she was too, outside of all the things that we admire her for. So yeah, very, very cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a celebration for sure to be in her 90s and still rocking on commissions.
Yeah.
And we all know some artists not even close to that age are already kind of starting to evolve or devolve, and so I feel like she was blessed for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're a few minutes away till we wrap. We did really good, guys. We should give ourselves an applause, like right in time.
Nicely done.
I'll close this out with a really quick share. So when Carl is here, I'm triple X Carl, just to make sure you guys are looking right, Carl. But I got 2 commissions.
Whoa!
My Joker sketchbook, and yeah, this is from Stuart Sagar, who I wasn't super exposed to, but I was just happened to be looking at the Baltimore list of guests and wanted to see who else could contribute to my Joker sketchbook. I won't go through the rest of the book, but I've had a good amount of folks. I have 4 more pages left. So at Baltimore, I was thinking, okay, in New York, I reserved 2 artists. I kind of know who I want to end this book with, but I don't know who I was going to go Baltimore with. And of course, Barry Kitson was also someone that was available. So I thought between Stuart and Barry, they were just great contrast to add to the book.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have 2 more at New York Comic Con to finally close up this Joker book, which I started last Baltimore. So
oh, nice.
it was really
Wow.
Whoa.
Stuart's
Amazing.
like Bill Sienkiewicz on acid.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it, actually.
Yeah,
I love the way
He's
you
just
do
like
that.
one notch above Bill Sienkiewicz when he does his stuff.
And what is Stuart's background? Has he been around for a while? I literally
He
just
has.
recently discovered him.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had breakfast with him last year at the hotel.
Oh, cool.
And he's got some great stories. He was helped a lot by Neil Adams.
Wow.
He actually got into an argument with Neil Adams once at a show. But
Get in
Neil
line.
learned to, yeah, I know. But Neil actually learned to kind of come to respect Stuart, and actually made some inroads for him to get a lot of his cover work at DC. Yeah, he's a good guy. Lives in Indiana.
Yeah,
That's awesome,
Stuart did
man.
a lot of cover work for Dynamite years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Stuart a lot. He's a great guy, and he was very happy with it as well. He's like, I believe this is the best one in the book. I was like, oh, cool. I like that confidence. It's great.
It's almost a Boland Joker, the face.
Yeah, the shape of it.
Yeah, he did
Carl,
a
you
great
bring
job.
up a great point. I mean, that's one of the things about bringing a sketchbook like that. The artists look through it.
Mhm.
And so they want to, they got pride, right? They want to one
Yeah.
up, they want to be the best sketch in there. And so I'm sure, having a full, I mean, you've only had that a year, and that sketchbook is already full. I can't imagine the amount of art that's in there, but yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny too. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
No, go
Dan.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I had a lot of coaching from Dan Tangredi, so who got me into this. And so last year, he showed me all his books, and he's like, "Hey, the secret is to start strong, so everyone after that wants to up it." And it started black and white, and I don't pay anyone more than what they ask for on the, head of bus. And it just started getting crazier with colors, and now it's like painted, and so people do kind of get inspired and want to up their game as the book moves on. It's pretty interesting.
That's
I got
awesome.
a free sketch from Jeff Isherwood of Doctor Strange at OAX, but I had him do it on the same page that Gene Colan had done a little Doctor Strange sketch. And Gene Colan just did a really quick, 5-minute thing. Jeff Isherwood, like the detail that he did on that beside the Gene Colan, I'm like, I wonder if he was just trying to one-up Gene. I don't know.
And speaking of Doctor Strange, anybody see that Rogers Austin that Anthony showed last
Oh,
night?
that 20K one. Yeah.
Holy cow, was that a masterpiece?
Yeah.
That ran back to back with, I think, Michael Golden's run on that. And the two of them, you talk about artists trying to outdo each other. I think there was a little of that. That's a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
Wow,
Plug
did
in
you guys see
Anthony's
that?
art.
There's a show is canceled tonight for CAF update.
Oh,
I guess
Bad weather in Florida.
Wow,
He
that's rough.
rescheduled it for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, best wishes to everybody in Florida right now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
family in
I was
Florida
on a call with Will Quintana earlier. He's a colorist for one of our books, and it was so loud in the background. It was crazy. It was like heavily distracted. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's like crazy over here right now." And I guess
Can you point everybody over here? Can Bill send everybody over here? Go another 2 hours.
Yeah, let's keep going.
2 hours. That's
All right. Well, to be responsible, we have a few more minutes. Any other last words from anyone? Any closing remarks?
Carl, real quick, what was the first page before the Joker? Who was the character?
Joker. It started with the Joker, but it basically was Simone de Mio. Let's see.
Oh, nice.
And he did a really good job because he almost went full body.
Yeah.
And, it kind of
No,
evolved.
you showed.
Is that one for OAX? Did he do that?
This was from. Actually, this thing started at New York Comic Con because I bought the book from Dan as an empty book at Baltimore, and then I think I brought it to New York. Oh no, he told me which book to buy, and I ordered it at Baltimore while he was there. It arrived. I brought from New York Comic Con, and I basically got this first 3 at New York Comic Con. It was Simone de Mio, DK Ron, and then Alex Maleev. What's cool about Alex, what he did was
cool. That's
he did a self-portrait. If you guys know what he looks like, this is him.
Wow.
That's cool.
Scary.
It was his
You know
inner
what
Joker.
Scary dude.
Yeah, I think I got Mateo Scalera after that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
And then Mateo Bagaris.
Oh, boy, he
It
knocked
has a
that
little
one out.
Joker animated look to it.
Yeah. So it just kept going. So I'll bring this to New York if anyone else is joining.
That's awesome.
Happy to share it.
Yeah,
Well,
too bad
what-
you didn't start strong there. Too bad.
What-
Well, now
What I noticed-
I'm trying to think about my next sketchbook, like what to start with,
What's
with.
Set the bar high. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of don't want to repeat any artist, so I
Right.
want to see if I could just make it very unique per book. So, because it's tempting to bring it back to another artist, but why not just kind of continue building? And I think that's one of the fun parts. You meet so many new talent and have so many cool conversations with them with the sketchbook. So I'm late to the game, but I'm having a lot of fun.
You know what I noticed, and maybe it's a closing thought for us. Carl, can you go full screen on yourself again?
Sure. Let's see, how do I do that? Here.
You've got art below the waist. You're using your wall on the right, on your left. I'm sorry, but on your right. Yeah. On your left.
On the left, yeah.
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 The other side. I'm sorry, your other left So, um, yeah, that means I can hang more. I can hang more art. I didn't think it was cool to go low, like below the waist.
You can.
Ceiling to floor, man. Floor to
I
ceiling.
didn't.
Yeah.
Tom,
I
you are
didn't
you are
know.
just throwing
I
some
know, I'm
low hanging
learning.
fruit out there, man. You got to watch your words. You really
In
do.
fact, these are my
I'm
Mannix
learning.
commissions. Have you guys seen these? The Mannix commissions?
They're
I
good.
got the-
Yeah.
I've only seen them on calf.
They're super cool. I
He
got
does
the
some
Agile
crazy stuff.
triple
Yeah.
cover right here. That's super
Oh
cool.
man.
Well, doesn't Dino have art like on his ceiling, if I remember correctly, when it was showing it? Like when
On
you
the
start
ceiling?
running
Yeah,
space.
yeah, he does. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's okay to go to the floor.
Mhm.
All right. I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I learn from you guys all the time.
How does the ceiling artwork? Like, does he like drill it up?
Tape.
He had it mounted up there. I don't know how he put it up, but he did a little
Wow.
tour, and there was a lot of art. I mean, just covering almost every surface in a couple of rooms.
He's got enough art to cover walls.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining on this chat. I don't know what Jason is, but again, it kind of started with a little idea, and we turned it into a party. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you for actually add Jason to the stage real.
Okay.
But then you're not here.
He banished himself.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks, Tom.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.